Nice to see you guys once again. It's a beautiful, wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Um, my slight so-called day off, and I want to let you guys know I've been watching a lot of stuff on YouTube, especially at this, you know, point of my stage of my age. Like I said, I'm in my late 30s, and I'm pushing my 40s, and I've always realized since I would say the beginning of my 30s that there are literally four stages to life. There's a baby stage where you can do no wrong. Everything is so cute. Then you have the stage where you're a preteen, where you're about to graduate from high school, going into college, and then you have the stage of now you're a young adult, where uh, you need to start building your life and building yourself and getting yourself to a certain stage of life, which is very important because in the younger stages of your life, you can make all the mistakes you want to make, right? Especially if you have your parents around you to.
And then you have the older ages, which is basically your 30s going into your 40s, um, where you ultimately want to have yourself sorted out, if that makes any sense. And I mean sorted out is you want to start thinking about RRSPs, you want to start thinking about TFSAs. RRSPs to me just seems like a freaking joke, right? That's just another part of I believe is one of the freaking pyramid schemes that we live in this North American lifestyle. And like I said, I always talk about the pyramid schemes because you want to find out what is this pyramid scheme in North America I'm referring to, if y'all don't know. To some who do know what I'm referring to, that are not benefiting off of what the baby boomers had benefit off of, which is basically buying the house when it was inevitably cheaper to a certain extent. I wouldn't say it was that much cheaper, but the cost of living and the house price, you were able to buy a house, take that money out, refinance it, or get a second mortgage or a HELOC, and go and get a freaking another place, a property, say up in Muskoka or wherever, Thousand Island, wherever you want to go get another property, and then call that your home property for your family, and then basically rent it out and blah blah blah. When I've been listening to a lot of these podcasts, a lot of these people talk about our parents would tell us, save your money, stop spending your money on these expensive bath showers or buying expensive Starbucks teas and second cup, and save. And I gotta tell you right now, if you don't know any better, you're gonna realize saving ain't gonna get you nowhere. Right? Saving don't get you nowhere, man. You cannot save enough on a certain. You basically have to have no debt to save a certain amount of money, and that's going to take you a certain amount of years to even obtain $100,000. You think a lot of these kids and a lot of these people that have gotten homes as a first-time home buyer were able to save it? I can guarantee you a majority of them were not able to. I can tell you probably a family member or an unsecured debt helped them get that down payment. But you got to realize when you're putting yourself into that type of debt, you better hope to God that it pays off in the long run. Now, long run means you're going to basically buy a house. Uh, let's say our parents bought their house at like 300,000 or 100,000 or cheaper over say 10 to 15, now let's say 20, 30 years. The equity they got out of that house, they can use that to refinance or even basically purchase something or whatever, or pay off their mortgage faster, right? Back then. Now you're putting down a down payment of $100,000 for a house that was basically worth $100,000, right? And these homes jumped up from, I'm not gonna lie, from $450,000 to $1 million in a span of 2 years. This is basically COVID I'm referring to, right? And if this had happened, now people are supposed to go and borrow some more money. How are you gonna pay this money back? And what's the dream about having a house for 30 years? People say you go to work, you get a job. Most people go and get into a career that basically they had to get I don't know, get a loan for, right? That loan basically has an interest rate of God knows how much, and then after that interest rate builds up over time. The job that they get is not paying them a certain amount of money to basically sustain the payment to even make the payment towards the loan that they got. And then you're supposed to go and get a house that costs you $1 million. Your government will give you anything as long as they can get money out of you. They know you're never going to pay it back, right? And then when you justify 30 years coming out of a school loan, now whatever, and it really depends on the kind of job you chose at the same time, right? It's kind of like, let's say, for example, you went into, I don't know, an accountant loan, not an accountant, let's say an assistant, right? You went to school to become an assistant, right? Without doing the research, you know an assistant's not going to pay that much. Now you got to make sure you either have a partner, you're staying at home, right? Or you basically have a good set of money aside, because you're not going to be able to sustain a house on an assistant loan wage. Okay? And if you do, you'd be working your butt off like crazy, or you'd be having to get a second job. Now let's throw a baby into it. Okay? Let's throw a baby into that mix. Right? Now it's taken away. Now you cannot work. So let's hope to God that you have a good partner that's supporting you. Right? God forbid. I love all the single mothers and whatnot, because at the end of the day, it's like I do feel for a good amount of y'all that obviously, you know, did everything right for the most part, or were taught the right things. Um, Needless to say about any other person that basically went the other route. But it's not to say you cannot do it. It's just 10 times harder. And I know as we get older, we believe like, damn, I made this mistake. I should have basically looked at life a different way. Well, some of us were giving opportunity. Some of us were giving, we're spoon fed. So we don't have to live a certain way of life. We didn't have to experience life, a struggle or whatnot. My life, I wouldn't say I had to struggle hard, but my parents definitely were about that saving mentality, and we definitely didn't live an extravagant lifestyle, but it wasn't as frugal as I would say other people would have to live. But it wasn't definitely extravagant. But I really thank them for what they given me, and I'm able to basically see things in a different perspective, considering the fact that I am a black man living in North America. It's 10 times harder because we're expected as just black people, as black women, or whatever cases, could be Spanish, could be Chinese, of any immigrant family, to work 10 times harder, to be 10 times smarter than your co-partners, which are white, right? And we all know that. We all know this story, okay? Not knocking down any type of race, whatever the case is. It's just, why can't we all be treated fairly? That's a friggin' story. That's a friggin' debate for a whole different day. But back on track. You look at, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. You look at how you're supposed to sustain a certain lifestyle now on the wages that you make. Now, we talk about investments. If you don't know anything about investments, are you going to do it? No. And if you know somebody that had bad experience with investments, you're probably going to basically be like, well, I'm not going to do that type of stuff. But in reality, you're just basically setting up your future for failure. Right? You're setting yourself up to fail, and ultimately, you don't want to do that for yourself. You want to take advantage of any other opportunity, which are learn about dividends, learn about dollar cost averaging, learn about even if you want to have a house and rent it out, learn about having the business credit, learn about building up your credit, learn about just enjoying your life and having your money work for you, right? Those are the types of things that I really ask people to look into, especially when you get to a certain age, and it goes right back to the stages of life. Like I said, in your teenager days, you can do all the wrong. Some of them were smart. Some of them had parents that beat it into them, right? Some of our parents beat us for doing everything wrong, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of us could basically relate to that, right? The belt, the switch, you know what I mean, the racket, ball, whatever the case is, for doing things wrong. But that's supposed to beat senses into your head, unless they beat you that hard where you're probably dead. But my point, sorry, my point here is you really got to take the initiative to enjoy life the best way you can, regardless of what's happening at the border. Right? I'm not gonna lie. I see what's going on in Toronto and North America. I see what Donald Trump and Mark Carney are doing. It's a whole bunch of bullshit. You ain't thinking about the people. It's a business thing. What do you expect? right? At the end of the day, we're small fries to these people, right? They got their family, they're taken care of. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things that don't make sense will never be, they'll never do anything to make the majority of people happy. It ultimately comes down to us, right? We are not small fry. We are big people. We keep this world turning. Immigrants keep North America turning. USA, Canada, okay? The problem is, with the illegals coming into this country back and forth. I was watching once again, a vlog. I forgot what the place was called, but you got illegals walking through the forest. They're crossing between the borderline of Canada and America and the USA. They're coming from Haiti, coming from India, whatever the case is. And no disrespect to any culture, but you know what I'm saying? It's an immigrant country, yes. Right? I'm not saying you need to have half of this culture and half of this culture, but at the end of the day, when you have a majority of one culture showing up to a country and they're not trying to understand the culture of, say, the US of A or the Canadian lifestyle, you're going to have a lot of eyes on you. You're going to have a lot of problems. And when you bring your culture, it's fine. We all want to learn and, you know, embrace the culture. But don't try to bring the culture and change a whole country. That creates a problem. That comes with respect for yourself, respect for your co-partners, right? Canadians have their way of doing things. USA have their way of doing things. You have to understand the culture, and that's just what it is, right? I know there's a lot of grunt and a lot of problems going on in the U.S. and Canada right now, and there's no need for us to be fighting. You know what I mean? I'm not going to allow Donald Trump to disrespect my brothers and sisters across the border. We live right across the border from each other, man. You know what I mean? We travel there. I mean, all due respect, we used to go to the U.S. Canadians used to go to the U.S. 24/7. We're basically the reason why the U.S. had a lot of money coming in too. We shop there every freaking weekend. We love y'all, right? And vice versa. You know, we're a part of NATO, right? We're like big brothers and sisters, man. You gotta use this more, man, and stop using this to think that's going to resolve everything, right? But at the end of the day, as long as we stick together, we'll be all right. I hope, right? But with the cost of living, and like I said, I talk about it every day. You know, I talk about the job aspect. I talk about killing yourself to work overtime to pay higher taxes. You know, okay, fine. Use your job to fund something else that you love to do. All right, I can tell you right now, unless you're making $200,000 in your one job, or even $150,000 in your one job, and you're renting or you have a house, whatever the case is, you're not living, right? Unless your debt ratio is very low. You know what I mean? Good afternoon to everybody. I'm sorry, my glasses prevent me from seeing, and I'm trying not to basically look at the messages as I drive. But I do love you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'm glad you. I'm hoping this is good, engaging information that I'm giving you, because at the end of the day, it's like we all know what's going on here. We all know what the problem is in North America. We can shut our mouths and pretend and not see it, but then you don't see the cars getting stolen off your driveway. You know what I'm saying? You don't see the type of people walking in this country basically claiming asylum, and you can't find them, and they're basically violent offenders. You know what I'm saying? You don't see the fact that we live in a country where we're supposed to be protected. We're paying all these taxes, and we can't get protected. The violence going up. Well, you don't see the fact that we can barely live in our homes, and you got a good subprime rate, and then all of a sudden the shit went up like 5 to 6% or 10%, and it's like, holy crap, what happened? Now I have to sell my house, and you know what I mean? But you can't see the fact that a 30-year mortgage is a death sentence, right? It looks good to stand in your nice home, whatever the case is, and buy all these expensive things that you can't really afford to show off to people that don't give a damn about you, eh? It looks good. No, it don't. Just be yourself, right? Live within your means. I personally don't have nothing down, wrong with the house aspect, but I said the people that were the baby boomers are the ones that really benefited from it, and the baby boomers that helped out their kids are going to benefit from it. Not to say that won't be me or is me. I would love that for everybody, right? But in a country that's not third world, we should all have that opportunity to live like that. You know what I mean? All have an opportunity to afford a house at a decent rate, right? There should be so many opportunities here for everybody, It shouldn't just be for the rich, right? But the rich is what basically control this country, these countries, USA and Canada, or anywhere. The rich control the country. The government basically just lives off of them. You know what I mean? So ultimately, it's just a major, major problem. You know, and there has to be something done about it, or we'll have major issues in life. You feel me? And all said and done, you know, we just wanna. I just wanna embrace everybody out in Canada, the USA, and North American countries. You know what I mean? Like it's like that Canadian and USA dream is been gone. You know, they've been playing us, right? They've been telling you to do certain things. And you sit down there and you keep telling yourself it's going to get better. The prices are going to drop. It's going to get better. This shit happened so many years. It's a cycle. It's a freaking cycle we're going in, man. Look at the cycle. It goes back into so many. The pool looks good. So many generations, right? It's happened before, right? It's happened before. The crash happened like I don't even know how many decades ago. There was one a couple, I don't want to say a couple centuries ago, but it's happened, right? This is why a lot of people are leaving. Let me see. I don't have the statistics, which I'm going to look into, but I would say 100 to 250,000 people have left Canada and not on vacation, just left the damn country. They're fed up with this freaking pyramid scheme cycle of a joke of a country, right? They realize they'll never be protected. They realize they're never going to get their investment out of here. They realize they're just going to work, 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 work. Then you're going to every government's going to give you tons of money to live off of because they know you can't afford to pay it back with high interest rates, right? Everybody needs that, right? If you're smart, you're going to realize I don't. That's not going to help me. That's going to put me in more debt. So why the heck would I need that type of problem? But by the time you're in that debt, you sign that contract, you have 7 days to send that money back. You don't think about it because you need the money so bad. You use that money. If you never had the money in the first place, why'd you take the money? If you knew you couldn't pay it back, why'd you take the money? If you were going to use it for a business agreement or something to basically reinvest into and get paid back. Always, man. You know what I mean? Like I was this close to calling the tow truck, but I'm like, you know what? Not worth it. Not worth it. You know, she's. Hey, you're a good man. I don't know. One day, man. One day. Cheers, buddy. Take care. Take care. Yeah, that's my buddy. That's my neighbor, guys. Yeah, man. Yeah, people like to park in our spots, man, at our condo. It's really ridiculous. But I ain't calling no tow truck for that. It's okay. It's daytime. It's 3 o'clock. They'll be gone by 5. So there's visitor parking. So I'll take advantage of that. Yeah. You know, life is not a joke if you look at it in a business mindset. You know, family business mindset. And what I mean by that is I'm going to use the money that's given to me from the government or given to me from the government or whatever from a business, hopefully with low interest rate, and I'm going to basically reinvest it into something for it to pay me back in return. That's a good opportunity for you. That's a good mindset to have. Problem is, not a lot of people have that type of mindset, so they end up taking the money to pay debt. If you take money, a loan, to pay another loan, what does that mean? You just doubled yourself from loan. 34% interest from one loan, 34% interest in the other loan. How much is that, guys? All right, how the hell are you gonna pay that back? Don't borrow from Peter to pay back Paul, because then you still have to pay Peter, right? And you got now you just doubled the interest rate. It don't make no sense, guys. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I know we're not all rich, but shoot, man, if you have to do some overtime to pay off that debt, man. If you can do overtime, yes, it sucks. Get a second job. If you have a good partner or whatever the case is, your mother or a friend or whatever the case is, find a way to do it. Get this YouTube. Start a YouTube. It doesn't cost anything to start a YouTube. You know what I mean? People love to hear and watch people talking on YouTube. Why? Because they can learn something. If you're teaching something, right? If you're speaking the truth, right? There's a lot of fake people in this world, right? I don't have time for all that kind of stuff. I have that business mindset, and I learn from elder people that's been in this country a lot longer than me. Right? Every day is a learning lesson for me. So anything
I'm basically taking from them, right? Um, give or take. Um, but I could say life is not the same as it used to be, guys. You know what I mean? It used to be safer in North America. It used to be more fun. It used to be a little bit cheaper. We used to complain about house prices being so expensive with a $5,000 down payment. Now your down payment's $100,000. How the hell? Who in the hell? And why the hell would I do such a thing for a house that quadrupled in the span of 2 years and nothing has changed? It just two 400,000 houses now worth 800. Yay! You realize that's not your money, right? It's the bank's money. Unless you got no mortgage on that, that's the bank's money, right? Don't forget lawyers' fees. Don't forget open and closing costs, depending on if you're selling this house, right? Whatever you leave with, where you're going to live after, you're just going to end up renting. You might as well just rent for a little bit. There's nothing wrong with rent for a short time period or even a long-term period. Period. If you plan to leave the country, I'm talking about Canada and USA, right? Because, like I said, the 30-year sentence is basically a 30-year jail sentence with glossy countertops, nice backsplashes, and hardwood floors, right? But look at the rental markets. I've been looking in Toronto. Look what's going on, right? Imagine you got a house and bam, I want to put my family in it. And bam, my job can't help me pay these bills. My kids are too young. My wife or husband's doing whatever they can to basically afford this place. Hey, now I got to go and get myself somebody to rent out this damn place because I can't afford to rent out this place. Bam. You're hoping you're gonna get a realtor to weed out the people that are, good people that are gonna rent out the place, pay the rent on time. Then boom, you find out they have more rights than you in your own home. Now they stop paying you rent. You're in the hole for rent and you can't get rid of those people for a year. And if they learn more about the system in North America, they don't have to ever move out that house. They'll move you out the house before they move. That's crazy. So who's winning in that situation? Not the owner. It's a lose-lose situation. The worst thing if you bought your house at say $1 million and now the house went down to $800,000. How do you win in that situation? You still got a mortgage to pay. Now you're going to take a loss. Like I said, your interest rate was cheap before, then it shot up because cost of living, everything's going up. Who's losing? Not the government, not the rich people, not it's the investors, it's the owners. And you can't call yourself an owner if you don't own the home. So this aspect of having a house aspect until you actually pay off your mortgage, you don't own your home. And if you do pay off your mortgage, you still don't own your home because you still got to pay property tax and repairs. And in the process of you paying property taxes and repairs that are inevitable, a roof costs God knows how much, your backsplash is going to go, your floor eventually will go, ACs, you know what I mean? Things do fall apart. You have to repair these things. That's the benefit between renting and owning a home. Tell you the truth. Unless you have a whole bunch of money. Okay, I want to put my kids in there. I got kids. All right, no problem. You still have the problem of the repairs. All right. But you're going to kill yourself to fix these repairs. And you're never really home because you got to work your butt off to pay for these repairs. That means you got to get a loan unless you're rich. But for majority of us, that's another debt on top of the house debt, top of the car, hopefully that you own. If not, that's another debt. Sounds like a win-win situation, eh? Hell no, that's a lose. Said, you guys, just think about it. If you need it, you need it. Save your money if you can. It's not a race, guys. It's a marathon. Things happen from time to time. Things you don't need to have it right away. And just because you want it doesn't mean you need it. and you don't need to put yourself in debt to have it. Because I can guarantee you, if you're anything like me, within 5 days of having that new shiny whatever that you wanted to get yourself, that costs whatever it costs, and you had to get a loan for it or whatever, spend the money for it, and you did not invest your money for your future. Because a lot of people don't think about future because they think they're going to die tomorrow, but they forgot they have kids, or they forgot that, damn, I'm at that age, and it's like, maybe I should have saved some money. Save $50, save $100, save something. Learn about investment. It's not a joke, right? Learn about, like I said, dollar cost averaging. Learn about your future. You know what I mean? Yes, an RRSP. I personally don't believe in it because you're gonna get paid taxes on it regardless. All right. TFSA, I think that's the best way to go. All right. GICs, depending on the interest rate, is the best way to go. Um, Crypto, eh, I need to learn more about it. I've been in it. I've made a little money, but nothing to basically say I quit my job anytime soon. But it's worth a try. Um, I personally like stocks. That's why they always ask you, what type of investor are you? Are you a beginner? Are you novice? Are you an expert? How many people are investing, right? And how many of them are actually losing in the long run? Investment is not a race, a quick money grab. It's a long-term game. It's a marathon. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not for you. That's for your family. You feel me? So that's what you got to look at when it comes down to your future, your kids' future. Teach them certain things. Teach them not to just buy, 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 buy. But once again, it goes back to what I said. Our parents said, "Don't spend your money on this. Don't spend your money on that," because in that generation, baby boomer generation, it worked for them, right? In this generation, ain't gonna work. And I always said to my parents, I'm like, man, if you guys were to live in our lifetime now, see if that same mentality would work for you. You'd be just as stressed as we are, right? We can't change the fact that life is evolving. So it is what it is, right? But you have to, if life evolves, you have to evolve too. Your mentality has to change too. Can't just be the same old, whatever case is, AI is here. AI is here to take people's jobs. People believe it ain't gonna happen. Hey, it's gonna happen, right? Did we ever think cost of living was gonna be so high? Some of us didn't believe it. It's here, all right? Do we ever think we're gonna have this mass dissemination, if you want to call it, of I want to call it intruders, but people coming into our country um, at such an alarming rate without any proper screening? No, I never expected that. Probably some of us would have. So, like I said, once again, the people that have been here, the older people are telling me AI will be taking our jobs next. Not everyone's jobs, just the jobs that anyone can pick up a phone and say, hey, right? A human's going to have to train him. Probably you are going to have to train him. You might not want to, but it's your job. That's why I say invest into a YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. You know what I mean? This is what I'm trying to tell people. Get into it. Take it seriously. Right? This could be the life opportunity of a lifetime. This could be an opportunity of a lifetime. This could be, yeah, changing your life aspect in a whole, right? But you gotta really want to change. You know what I mean? Like I didn't believe in going into work and just killing myself and really just working for a company for the rest of my life to get a cup when I hopefully retire and say, hey, thanks for working 45, 55 years of your life or whatever the case is. And here's a cup. Here's a cup right here. Have a good retirement. That's the time you see your CEO. If you see your CEO, or you probably get like a package deal. You think those people care about you? Hell no. That's why I'm out here telling people, go into your job and just do your job. Leave. Okay? Do your time and leave. Take advantage of the overtime. Just don't kill yourself. You know? Overtime is for a good reason. You can invest with overtime. You can take trips with overtime. Don't put it on debt. Don't put it on credit. That's stupid. You know what I mean? Save for that, right? If you don't have it, it ain't. Don't go on that trip. Wait. It ain't gonna change. The water ain't gonna disappear. The beach ain't gonna disappear. The hotel ain't gonna disappear. Right? So take your time. Build your wealth. You don't gotta be freaking Bill Clinton or rich, but you could be rich in a different way. You could be rich in God. You could be rich in just not having so much debt, right? Because I guess there's ways to use debt, but you don't want to pile a whole bunch of debt that you can't pay back yourself. And like I said, I mean, working for one job and just going to work, getting paid the bare minimum just to basically pay for your mortgage, utilities, and whatever the case is, ain't the dream, guys. Right? There ain't no beach here. There ain't no beach in North America. There ain't no peace of mind. There's just work, work, and more work. Right? When you're supposed to be sleeping, you're working. You know what I mean? Like it don't make sense, man. Take care of yourself. Take care of your health. You know what I mean? Take care of your children. Take care of your families. Take care of yourself. Once again, right? You only have one body. We don't have 9 lives, right? So people are dying every day. So you gotta, these are just things to teach us, right? To not only enjoy life, but to appreciate life for what it is, right? Go for a walk, ride a bike, hang out with your peeps. As you get older, you're gonna realize you're not gonna have as many peeps either, right? But the ones that you really appreciate, say hi to them, check them out, check on them, spend time with them, go for dinner from time to time, make dinner from time to time. Appreciate life for what it is, man. Right? I'm only saying this because I'm getting to that fourth quarter stage of my life, right? And that's me approaching that 40-year-old age. That's this 40 to 60-year-old age where I mean you want to be a lot more focused because retirement is hopefully coming up soon. I mean that's the goal, right? There, if you're just increasing your debt ratio, pay off high interest debt, pay off higher interest debt, and work your way down. Credit cards, loans, invest in once again. It doesn't cost anything to invest into yourself, but it costs a lot to invest into a loan or a debt or to something that's not going to pay off in the long term. So it doesn't cost nothing to take care of yourself, guys. It's a little bit of determination and focus. You know what I mean? But yeah, guys. Once again, we got back yesterday from our nice weekend. Meals retreat, mixed retreat. It was a beautiful place. Spend time with great, I call them family, right? And family. Sweethearts, we had fun. It's obviously too short, but we made the best of it. And I can't wait to do it again. God bless you guys. You feel me? And now we're back in the city. So I hope my rambling didn't hurt you. I hope you can hear me because the AirPod is not the greatest. I gotta get my microphone. Got the kids outside in the pool enjoying themselves. That's what you got to do, man. It's a free pool. Get out there, enjoy those moments. That's more important than killing yourself for somebody else's dream and for somebody else's happiness, right? You got to enjoy yourself too, and that's all I'm asking you guys to do. You know what I mean? So, once again, I thank you guys for listening to my rant. Hope you learned something. Tons of stuff on the internet. There's tons of ideas to talk about. You know what I mean? We want to take this YouTube page and any other platform that we get on seriously. We thank you guys for love and supporting us. God bless y'all. All right. Peace.